so this archetypal notion is there in humanity, and I think we see it very strongly in the Romantic poets of the 19th century. Because at that time, in the early 19th century, people like Wordsworth and Coleridge were very much alarmed at the way industry and was thriving, and how we were getting more into towns and cities, and we're going even farther away from nature. And he said, as a young boy, he used to be intoxicated with the glories of nature. And I remember that myself as a child. When I was very, very little, I could see, when we went into the woods around my home in Worcestershire, I could see a light, a sort of strange light, a luminousness in the trees, and I kept on pointing it out to my parents. I didn't have much vocabulary at that time, so I called it putsch. And they said, yes, dear. And they said, she's pretending that she's seeing the fairies, and my picture. No, it's putsch, I said, very indignantly. But of course, when I went to school, like Wordsworth, the light and glory died away, and as Wordsworth says, and faded into the light of common day, as I was inducted into the rationalistic viewpoint that we have here in the West. But anyway, Wordsworth taught himself, he says, and he says it in his wonderful poem, Tintern Abbey, he taught himself to look at nature differently. And what he came up with is exactly like Chi or Brahman or Tao. He says, for I have learned to look on nature, not as I did as a young boy, but hearing oftentimes the still sad music of humanity, nor harsh, no, nor harsh, nor grating, though of ample power to chasten and subdue. And I have felt a presence that disturbs me with the joy of elevated thoughts, a sense sublime of something far more deeply interfused, whose dwelling is the light of setting suns, and the round ocean, and the living air, and the blue sky, and in the mind of man, a motion and a spirit that informs all thinking things, all objects of all thought, and rolls through all things. Now that is Chi, Brahman, Tao. It's in us. It's there in our humanity, if we can only look for it. It's a sort of archetypal idea that is fundamental to us. And he's quite clear that this isn't God, because notice he said he is quite happy to write about God in other poems, but not this, because God has come to mean something very different, that being way up in the sky, far out of our reach, or looking down upon us. He calls it something. Now, we use the word something, don't we, very loosely. What shall we have for supper? I don't know, eggs or something. But Wordsworth uses language very precisely, and it's something. We haven't got a name for it, but it's something. Do look at that poem if you can find it, because that says it. That has it all. It's in the book, in the poem Tintern Abbey.